Hi, this is Walking and Talking Spirituality. Thank you for taking a walk with me. As we start to close in on the end of 2020, it's a great time to reflect on learnings. One of the mindsets that I brought into 2020 this year, if you go back to some of the very first of these Walking and Talking videos, I talked about how winning isn't always learning, but learning is always winning. And I'm really grateful that I ran into that wisdom right at the beginning of the year, because boy, was this year a year of learning. Some winning too, of course, but learning. And when I look back, I'm also grateful that when I opened up 2020, my word for this year was going to be curiosity. Again, hilariously appropriate. So grateful that I decided I was going to be open to new experiences and new learning. Now, none of us at that time had any idea the sort of shifts, challenges, obstacles, detours that this year was going to bring. But as I've looked over my year, I noticed, it's because I'm being curious and I'm trying to learn, that these two particular mindsets served me really well. Because I can remember in March, I think it was March 13th, it was Friday the 13th, when Asbury Seminary, where I teach, we decided we had to go fully online, and it was like, wow, this really is happening now. I didn't panic, and I thought, wow, I'm going to get to test out how to use Zoom and get even better at using Zoom, get even better at teaching synchronous classes to folks. And so I approached it as a challenge. Now, I noticed my mindset wasn't shared by everybody around me, and there was a lot of panic. And again, there's no judgment on that, but as I look back, I realized how important it was that I had that mindset of curiosity and openness to learning right at the beginning of 2020. So that really begs the question. And this isn't about boasting and talking spirituality. This is just thinking through what happened in a way that hopefully can serve you. And it also invites me to think about this. So if great exercise, this is great any year, but it's great especially this year, is to go back and, it's December 2020, write yourself a letter as though you could, that would go back in time and that you would be able to open on January 1st, 2020. So write a letter from today back to yourself, January 1st, 2020, and try to come up with, what would you tell yourself if you could give yourself a warning of what you would need, what mindsets you would need, what skills you would need, what you would need to be thinking about to really thrive in what 2020 was going to bring. Now, what that exercise does, and I kind of did it for you at the beginning, I thought back, I'm like, wow, I had this mindset of curiosity, had this learning, winning isn't always learning, but learning is always winning idea. And here's the point of that exercise, is not to go back and say, wow, I wish I would have just invested in Tesla or Zoom stock and now I'd be retired. Or I bought toilet paper and I could sell it at inflated prices in March and April. But go back and think, what would you really like to have known? And what mindsets or skills or attitudes or habits could have served you really well? Then after you spend some time doing that, here's the next logical question. Do you have those skills and mindsets now? And if you don't, how can you have them in place, or at least have some systems in place that you can bring those things into 2021? Now, what does that have to do with spirituality? Actually, it has everything to do with spirituality, because we're embodied souls. And when things can go crazy in the outside world, if we've worked on our formation to a degree, it doesn't make us immune from anxiety or even depression or hardship. But what it does is our spirituality can allow us to thrive regardless of the circumstances. And by thrive, I don't mean get rich, but you can have mindsets that God is with us, and that if I do these things, I'm going to set myself up to be in the best position to advance the kingdom regardless of my circumstances. Go back and take a look at some of the things that Paul writes about. For example, I think in Philippians chapter 4 especially, but also some of the things he says to Timothy in, like, say, 1 Timothy. Take a look at some of that stuff. And then ask yourself, okay, what's going to be my words and values that I want to grab a hold of and have ready to roll in 2021. Use this month as a time for reflection. Where do you wish you could have been January 1st, 2020? That's gone now, but how could you replicate that in a way that you can be ready for what is coming in 2021? Whether it's more difficult challenges or whether it's a time of abundance and spring and relaunching and rebirth, which so many of us really hope 2021 is. And then look at your spiritual practices. What'd you learn about that this year? You know, I doubled down on my contemplative work, my journaling, centering prayer. I've been doing that for a long time, and I found that when it hit this road bump, if you will, of this year, that those practices really carried me through and allowed me to actually serve more people probably this year, ironically, than I ever have in my life, and I'm so grateful for that. Again, I'd love to hear what's worked for you, what you wish you would have known, and what's the knowledge, attitudes, skills, and habits that you'd like to take into 2021. If I could be of any service to you, you can email me deepdivespirituality@gmail.com. If you're interested in a group coaching program that I have designed especially for pastors and spiritual leaders, check out deepdivespirituality.com, and there's a place where you can give me your email address and I'll reach out to you personally. I don't do stuff automated, it's me. Anyway, till next time, live by faith, be known by love, and be voices of hope in a world that desperately needs it.